Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Okay, so I'm going to do a Dutch pour and I'm going to use just some metallic colours for the blowout. So I'm going to use 6 different metallic colours. I'm going to list all those details in the description below. And I think I'm going to use a Prussian blue base. I really love Prussian blue and I've not used it for a long time. So I'm going to use a 16 by 16 inch canvas. I'm going to puddle my paints on the canvas and then I'm going to blow it out, traditional Dutch pour style, using just paint and water. So let's see what we can create. Okay, so let's just quickly run through the colours. So that's my Prussian blue by De La Rowney, System 3 acrylic. That's going to be my base colour. And all my paints are mixed with just paint and water. So here are the other colours. These are all metallics. So I've got a silver, and all of these are by Amsterdam. There's a bronze, there's a graphite, I really like that colour. There's a copper, there's a dark gold, and then a light gold. And they're going to be all my metallic colours that I paddle on the base. So as I said, I'm using just water to mix my paints and make them fluid. And I'm using 1 part paint to 1 part water. And I'm using good brands, so it means I can do that and it still contains good binding when I'm blowing out and using those paints within a creation. So I'm now just using my blow dryer because the first step is to get that base coat down. And this really is a step that you don't want to rush. Just enjoy being in that moment, really feeling that paint as it glides across the canvas as you're blowing it out. And sometimes step back and just have a look at the consistency of the layer that you've got on top. You really want to get the base coat right, because I'm a firm believer if you can get the base coat right, especially when doing Dutch pours, it really helps when you puddle your paints and blow out the paints later on. I always have my blow dryer on a cool setting and the lowest setting that it has. So that really works well for me. Okay, I think we're nearly there with the base. I've taken quite a bit of time with the base because I want to just make sure that the consistency is right on top. I'm going to use my torch just to get rid of all the air bubbles. But one thing that I've noticed, and this is on reflection, I've used my torch too much on this base and I've put the flame too close to the base. Because what I notice later on, when I'm blowing out some of the graphite colour, my paint starts splitting. And the reason I've left it like that is because I want to show you that actually that's okay. But the lesson learnt there is to ensure that when you're blowing the bubbles with your torch, just raise your flame a little bit higher and don't get too close to the paint. So I'm just puddling the colours on top now. I'm just taking one colour at a time, and as you'll see, I'm just puddling them. And then I will puddle some of the other colours on top of those other colours and blow it out. Fluid art for me is just so therapeutic, and I absolutely love the process that you go through when you create a piece of art. I just love this puddling, and then when I blow it out, just to see how all those colours react and intertwine and infuse with each other. I've just got some more air bubbles in my paint, so I'm just going to get rid of those before I take my blow dryer and blow out the creation. Adding a little bit more base colour at this stage around those paints I've puddled will really help the paint flow on the surface of the canvas when it's blown out. The first blow with the dryer is always the one where I really just stop and look at it, because I really love to see how all those colours are going to interact with each other. And at this stage, I don't want to rush this, but I take a section at a time. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of standing back, and before I use the blow dryer each time, I'm looking at the overall composition and the overall design that you can see on the canvas. And then I decide what section I want to take and blow out further. I really am loving this Prussian blue base, but I do know that it is going to dry a lot darker, and that's something to really consider when you're picking your base colours. The colour that you see now isn't going to be the colour it is when it's dry, so really carefully consider what colours you want to use. I wanted to use Prussian blue myself because I know that I will be able to see some of that blue tone on the outer edge of the other colours around here. Before I finish with this design, I'm just going to go over one more time with my torch to get rid of those air bubbles. Those air bubbles are there because I've recently just mixed my paints up. I'm just going to use my palette knife to take the drips off the edges. By taking the drips off the edges, it minimises any kind of movement with the design on top. If you leave them there, then there is a chance that the design will be dragged over the edge. Okay, so let's go in for a close-up of the wet version, and I really wanted to show you how those metallics have reacted with the Prussian blue. Well, I haven't done a Dutch pour actually for a while because I've been doing some swipes, and I love it. I really love how you can get the whispers of paint kind of blend in with the base, and then there's kind of some harsh areas where there's a deeper tone of that colour. And then other areas, there's lighter and more kind of delicate areas where it's more whispery. So that's one way that I really love to explain the Dutch pour. And I really hope that you like this design too. So let's see how it dries, and I'll take you in for a close-up of the dry version. And here we go. So do you see what I mean? When you're choosing your base colour, you can see some of the Prussian blue just there on the left, but you have to really think about how it's going to dry. So the Prussian blue does dry a lot darker, and that's okay because I can see those undertones within the total creation itself. I can see those blues just underneath those metallics, and that's the kind of look and the kind of vibe that I was hoping to create. I really love the details, and I really love the composition that I've achieved. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you're all okay, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.